This video will cover pre-recording preparations. So this is basically everything you need to know before actually even thinking about recording. So this will go into stuff like PC recording setup and console recording setup. But basically everything you need to know before you can even think about hitting that record button will be covered in this video. Okay, let's go over PC recordings. Now, before we get into the technical side of things with OBS and stuff, let's just take a quick little look of what the recording setup should typically look like. Okay, so for a PC recording, your microphone should be in that kind of placement, like right there-ish. So yeah, your microphone should be there. Webcam should be on top of the screen right there. Your chair should be like here. So again, this is the rough idea of what your recording setup should typically look like for a PC recording. You should also have your headphones plugged in like so. See, follow the wire and your headphones are right over there. So the headphones should be plugged in like that. And one other thing that's important is make sure that your audio is set to 20. Yep, see, 20, there you go. So that's typically what your recording setup should typically look like. Typically. Okay, next let's go into the actual recording setup. So for PC recordings, the recording setup should be pretty much like this. So again, make sure you've got both OBS and XSplit open, like so. So again, this all depends on what you're recording, like what game you're recording, etc., etc. But first, make sure you've got the game of choice open. For example, I've got Minecraft open here, as you can see. So firstly, make sure you've got your game of choice open. That's important. And then make sure you've got the correct like recording presentation open. So again, go to screen selection and then choose whichever one you need. So again, ultimately, I have labeled everything as the console, PC. So again, depending on what you need, just try to find the presentation, whether it's a PC Let's Play with a pointer or PC Facecam, PC full screen, so PC Windows. Again, whatever you need, find the particular source you need, and then yeah, that's basically it. So again, just make sure you've got the right screen open, pretty much, and yeah, it's pretty simple, but it's also kind of important. I don't really want to gloss over it. So yeah, that's typically how your PC recording setup should look. Okay, now let's move on to console recordings. Once again, before going to the actual software side of things, let's just take a quick little look of what your setup should look like for console stuff. Now, there's a little bit more to it. Once again, you want to make sure your chair is kind of in this position, like looking directly at the screen like that. So have the chair in that position, like looking at the screen, but still lined up with the PC, as you can see there. Also, you're gonna want to have your microphone in this kind of position here, just between the TV and like so, just in this position, so the mic is aiming right at you from your chair in that position. In terms of webcam, this does vary, to be honest, and the webcam is very, very, very important. Whether or not you're doing a face cam video or not, the webcam is very, very important. So don't neglect this. Even if it's a non-face cam video, make sure you do have the webcam in the right position. This is important. I'll talk about that in the next video most likely, but just don't neglect this step. So again, if it's, it depends if it's a face cam video or not. If it's a face cam reaction, if it's a face cam console let's play, then you'll want your you'll want the webcam on here, kind of like perched on the corner here. I'll probably have something on screen to show you what position you want, pretty much. But yeah, this is the that's pretty much the position you want your camera to be in if it's a console, if it's a face cam console let's play. If it's just a regular let's play with no face cam, then this position is good enough, really. Again, it is important. I'll explain why in the next video or two or so, but yeah, just don't forget the face cam, as that is pretty important all round. Another thing you want to take care of is you want to make sure that your headphones are plugged in using this extra long cord, as you can see. So there's an extra long cord here. If you follow the wire along, follow along the wire and make sure that the headphones are plugged in here. That's also very important. If the wire is not there, it should be there or on here, or in worst case scenarios, it's along here, which is just behind the door here, as you can see here. So find the wire. It's very, very important. Like, that extension lead is very, very important for console let's plays, just because obviously the speakers are a little bit further away from you, and yeah, so that pretty much takes care of everything there. Also, make sure your footstool is in this position, so it's like right up close to you when you're on your chair. This might seem kind of pointless or silly, but it is important. Okay, so now we've taken care of all of that, of the rough idea of what setup you need to be. So let's actually begin with actually setting things up to record. Now, with console recordings, there's actually a bit more of a step than in PC stuff. There's still some of the same steps, but there's a little bit more to it than before. So, firstly, you're going to want to turn on the console of choice. So firstly, turn on your console of choice. I'll go with the Switch this time around. So turn on the Switch or your console of choice, and then the TV, and then you want to let that boot up. It might take a sec or two. Just let that do its thing. Okay, that should have worked. There we go. So once that's on, then just quickly go to A, like press A on the controller, just so that it goes back onto the menu and stuff. Okay, let's just go into home. Okay, so now we've got the menu up. So now another step is you want to make sure that, again, with your headphones plugged in to the speaker, you want to make sure that this is also set to 20. Yep, 20. That's that might seem silly, but it's actually really important, more important than you'd think. So make sure that's set to 20. And right, so that takes care of that. So it's set to 20. Okay, now let's actually begin the actual setup process. So again, very similar to what we did with PC, except obviously go up to here. So go into console, go into the scene collection, and then find the setup you want among the console stuff. So again, there's a few. There's console face cam here, and there's console full screen or console face cam. There's a few less than in the PC, but again, find whichever one you want. For example, console face cam. Give it a second to load. It might not work initially. It might take a couple setups. Yep. Just give it a sec. It might not load properly, as it very rarely loads properly on your first time. Like, you've got to, like, you do sometimes have to, like, mess around a little. Okay, it worked this time, luckily. The facecam's not loading, but that usually takes a couple messing with. Again, If any of these don't work, just, you know, if the face cam or whatever doesn't work, just reboot that, mess with the webcam in the hub there. If you do that enough, it should eventually work, you know, for troubleshooting, so it's not really a big deal. But either way, find the correct scene you want. Let's go with the full screen one as well. Just wait a sec and it should in theory work. Just give it a sec. There we go. Okay, so yeah, that's to show it works. Again, Facecam, again, OBS and Audacity, make sure they're both open. Make sure you go to the source you want, depending if it's a Facecam or non-Facecam. Again, the position of the webcam is very, very important, depending on if it's a Facecam or non-Facecam Let's Play. Again, I'll explain more about that in a bit in the next video. But yeah, that's pretty much everything there. Now, there is a little bit more. Now, with the setup of this, obviously there are multiple consoles, like there's the PS4, there's the Xbox One, there's the PS3, PS2, there's a whole bunch of consoles here, and it might seem a little complicated, but it's not really. All you gotta do is basically, so you see there's a sheet here corresponding to, like, obviously, if you see here, there's, like, for example, PS4, HDMI 1, basically, these little dots here on each one corresponds to these little boxes down there. So there's HDMI 1 and HDMI 2, and if you see here, there's also HDMI 1 and HDMI 2. So those little blue dots correspond to the lights on HDMI 1 or 2. So all you gotta do is basically match the dots here to the lights on here. For example, if you want your PS4, you need to get HDMI 1 onto HDMI Light 2. For example, so again, HDMI 1, okay, so 1, 2, okay, it doesn't always work. Sometimes there's an issue, but if that happens, just plug the power out, plug the power back in, and that usually fixes it. But yeah, there's basically just try and get the dots on here to correspond and match the lights on here. If there's still issues with that, just read these little notes in red I put to give you a hand if need be. Also, there's the plugs down here, or like all this to keep in mind as well. So again, just do everything you can to get things working. So that's pretty much it. Just, again, get the dots to match the lights on the boxes there. In case of consoles, just make sure the consoles on here, like for example, if you want, for example, if it would focus. Okay, so as you can see, for the PS2, well, you want the PS2 plug on there to be turned on and the PS2 on, but you'll also want to, for example, again, PS2 is there, so you want to go to HDMI 0 and set that to 2 and then set that to that, and that will go to PS2. Where if you want it to go to, say, the N64, you'll need to find the N64 box, which unfortunately I think has fallen back there. There's a little inconvenient, but you get the basic idea. So just set the HDMI box to the respective one. Again, everything does tell you, like, that's the main source for all of them. And then once you've done that, it's basically just a case of matching what's on here to what's on here and on there pretty much. But that's pretty much it in terms of console stuff. Pretty simple.